and welcome to my YouTube channel. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that little bell. Make sure that you get notifications whenever I upload any new content or new videos, tutorials, and so just to keep, I like to keep everybody informed as to what I'm doing and the processes that I'm using, and just everything about my process. So, and thank you for joining me once again. Today I am working on a second opaque layer on top of the self-portrait that I've been working on. I had the first opaque layer finished a couple of weeks ago, and I was able to let that dry. And it's really important when you're working in layers like I do that you make sure that each layer is completely dry before you start on a layer on top of it. So you don't want any of that paint to lift off, or you don't want stuff moving around. You want to make sure that that is really stable before you try to put an additional layer on top of it with either glazing or an additional opaque layer. So that being said, what I am focusing on today is I am working these edges and really focusing on turning these forms into space. Now, I hear that phrase thrown around quite a lot, and a lot of people don't quite know what that means. So I'm gonna do my best to explain my concept of that idea. When you are working in realism, or especially portraiture, like the type of work that I do, it's important to remember that there are very few hard edges in reality. Most of the time, you're going to end up with these slight gradients, these blurred, lost edges. So that's what I am working at now. As a beginner, it's really easy to kind of get lost in the trap of just putting down your dark color and your light color and then just mixing them into each other and then calling that your transition. That is not the type of transition that I want in my art, and it doesn't give the illusion of three-dimensional space that I want in my paintings. So instead, what I am doing is I am putting down a gradient in small little sections. And so I'm putting down one color and then mixing that in. And then I am putting down just slightly different color next to it and then molding that into the first color. And that's going to give me a beautiful gradient and very, very subtle. And when you have those subtle transitions, the viewer is going to really get lost in the illusion of three-dimensional space. And what I want in my art is I want people to look and get captured by the emotion and by the realism. And to do that, I really want to be able to turn these figures, make it look like they are looking at a three-dimensional object. So what I'm doing here is I am putting down my darkest dark, which I believe in this case is going to be burnt umber and ultramarine blue that I put down. And I'm using that as my black in this particular piece. And so I've put that down, and then right next to it, I am putting down another layer, and it's that same mixture, but with some burnt sienna, and it is warming it up quite a bit, and it is lightening it up just slightly. And I'm putting that right next to it, and moving that into the light. And as I pick that up, I am moving a little bit further into the burnt sienna and yellow ochre mixture. And I think there's a bit of cadmium red in there as well. And I'm just putting that down right along that transition. So that way I am building that transition step by step as it moves from the dark into the light. and it's really creating that illusion that the form is turning from the shadow into the light and creating that three-dimensional effect that I'm really looking for. So as I'm moving into the lighter section, I'm just kind of pushing that in to the burnt sienna and creating that turned form. So yeah, just keeping those edges lost and everything blended together and creating those transitions. So, well, I told you this is going to be a short video, so thank you so much for watching, and I will have some more of these up. I think I'm going to be posting about once a week. And be sure to like and subscribe and hit that little bell. Make sure you get notified when I upload new content.